We are going to get into the Florida Atlanta. The Florida Atlanta match. We have our epic pen ready to go. We've got full screen ready to go. I'm going to turn this down a little bit more. A little more for me. It's probably good for you guys. I don't even know if you can hear it. All right. So let me turn closed captioning off as well. Yeah, here we go. Rough start for the Overwatch League today. If you guys didn't get a chance to watch it, there was some technical issues with encoding, and the first match was like unwatchable on the English broadcast. I had to watch the oh, Circle. Never seen Al before. This is new to you. Awesome. Well, I am excited for you to check it out, and I'm excited for you to watch with me and talk through it, learn some stuff. Hopefully, I love Overwatch League. So just a little background before we jump fully into all this. I got into Overwatch League in the middle of Stage 2, back in the very first season, and I didn't even start watching it because of the game itself. I started watching it because of Watchpoint, was their like studio show that they used to do every single week before the matches began, and it was just such a cool production. I grew up watching Sports Center, and I was one of those kids that went. It was back before they did like round the clock live Sports Centers, right? They would like record Sports Center at 7 in the morning and then replay that until they recorded a new Sports Center at 1. I was one of those kids back in the day that, like, if I was sick and stayed home from school, I was gonna watch 7 fucking hours Sports Center, like the 7 hours of that same exact Sports Center over and over and over again. I love those studio shows, and so when I saw Watchpoint, back when they used to do Watchpoint in that studio, it gave me that same vibe, and I just like was enamored by it. And I caught Watchpoint on the day. It was like a YouTube VOD of it. It got recommended to me. I caught it on a day that the Overwatch League was going to be happening that night, and I was working late that night at the escape room that I worked for, or that I owned. And I ended up being around for the start of the matches, and I was like, oh, I'll just tune in, watch the matches. Instantly fell in love with Overwatch League. Like, the atmosphere, it was the first time I'd seen like an esports crowd at something. It was the first time I saw this like over the top production for esports that matched like the sports that I grew up watching as a kid. And I just became enamored by it. So enamored by it that I went back and watched Stage 1 and the first half of Stage 2 that I had missed. Like I was binge watching a fucking television show to get caught up on it, right? And so, and ever since then, I make it a point to go back and watch every single match, at least a portion of it, at least have it passively on in the background and kind of pay attention to it, right? Like, so yeah, that's my background. I don't claim to be an expert on any of this. It's just something that I love. It's something that I love hanging out with people and watching and teaching them about the things that are cool. And I'm really excited because this is not a brand new game, but it's a new game. It's a new setup. It's 5v5. There's a new game mode. There's a new approach to the game. There's all these new passives, all these new abilities. And it's an opportunity and a gateway to take people who are new to the game itself and usher them into the thing that I've loved now for going into the 5th season. So, Circle, you're the exact kind of people that I want in this stream watching Overwatch League with me, because I want to be an ambassador for this game. I want to bring people in, and I want to get excited about the things that have gotten me excited for the last 5 years. So this is Atlanta. This is Florida. Coming into this game, the whole narrative was Florida is going to be bad, right? So, they lost Yaki. They lost a lot of the people who made them somewhat competitive last year, despite the fact that they struggled last year too because they didn't have a main tank. And so yeah, let's jump into this. We've got, hopefully I don't have too many loading problems. Does everything look good on that end? Does it sound good? Do you guys want the like game audio turned up at all? because we definitely can. So let's talk about these. Let's talk about our compositions here real quick. So basically, we're gonna see the game audio is quiet. All right, cool. We can fix that for you guys. I don't want it too loud on my end because I have ADHD, so I will definitely get distracted by it. But we can get it balanced so that you guys can hear some stuff. I don't think the replay viewer is up yet either for Overwatch League, so we're just watching like the straight up VOD. So it's also got the shoutcasters behind it. So if that's too distracting, let me know. We can get it turned back down. But let's talk about these compositions. So basically all day we saw this pair right here. Ana, the Lucio and the Ana. And we already talked about why that is, right? The speed burst, Lucio's survivability with crossfade and the self-healing passive, and then Ana being really the only hard CC on cooldown that you have. And definitely the only hard CC that you have now in the support role. So yes, this was basically what we saw all game, all day. I think we saw a little bit of Brig. We saw, I don't know if we saw anything else. I'm trying to remember if we saw BAP at all. But I'm excited because I didn't watch this game too closely. I had it up while I was finishing up work, and so we're all going to kind of watch this together. Saw a lot of dive also, right? So we didn't see any Orisa. We saw we'll see a little bit of Roadhog during this game. It's going to be very, very weird. And then we saw a variety of DPS. I think we saw a lot of Reaper in this stage of Lijiang Tower, but for the most part, it was a lot of Genji. It was a lot of Soldier. So yeah. And I think we had only seen Doomfist really one other time, and it was for this exact stage in the very first game, NYXL versus LA Gladiators. I think was it the Gladiators that came out on the Doomfist, lost the first fight, went back, and they're like, fuck it, we're going Winston. And I think a lot of speculation was that we're going to see a lot of Doomfist because he plays a lot like Monkey, but where there's not very many static shield options on the field, I think Winston having his bubble still is still a pretty big game changer, and still really important. So, all right, let's keep going.
You're right. We're gonna see a dive comp come out here, but
and this is basically what we see in in Overwatch 1 is like first fight's always going to be here over White Room. And then the idea is we're going to win our first fight and we're going to push up to the spawn doors. And I don't know why it's loading. It's had tons of time to buffer. Oh, I had it paused. But here we're seeing like Doomfist being, I think, a little more effective because he's not going in ahead of everybody. And let me see if I can just select a. It's really weird. I don't know why. But you know, he's going in assisted by his team. He's not getting too far out in front, and so he's gaining a lot of advantage from his like quick, just kind of in and out style. This is getting really frustrating, actually. Sorry, guys. So easy win on this first fight. They capture the point. They're gonna push up. The other thing super noticeable now is like, well, we can take a look right here. So if we take a look at these ult charges, like it used to be, if you won the first fight as overwhelmingly as Atlanta won that first fight, you would be light years ahead in terms of ultimates. But like Checkmate's keeping up pretty much with Nero. There's a pretty big discrepancy between Kai and Hydron, but like Hawk and someone are pretty close, and then our support ults are about 50-50 as well. And so like the changes that we have to the way the ult charge works, I think means that there's a lot less snowball potential coming off of these first fights, right?
Really ready to charge up and sometimes available at the times that you need them to be. But let's see what Surmajet can get done here on this Ana.
Yeah, quick engage. Surmajet unfortunately purpled as soon as he entered that small corridor. Hawk's going to be able
So we got another fight over White Room. This time Florida is taking it though.
One reset on the dash and killing the Reaper, and now the target is Ultraviolet. He falls in the Florida Mayhem.
And this is so yeah. Let's go back and. Yeah, gone back to. Oh, I went back way too far. Sorry, guys. I wish they would have had the. Okay, here we go. I wish they would have had the individual, because I'm trying to like scrub between 6 hours of Overwatch here.
Hawk's going to be able to get out rather quickly. Finds the punch on the Lucio, but it's actually Checkmate that's doing a lot of work.
So basically, what I saw a lot of today was it's a lot of please ignore the tank. There's no benefit in fighting the tank. You're getting less ult charge from it. You know, for a guy like you know, Winston, there's a lot of armor you're having to get through in order to like effectively burst him down. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to take out the back line, and then the tank's just going to have to disengage because he's not really able to do anything on his own, right? As well as that beat to keep him alive. The fight was basically done though. What happened here?
You're right. We're gonna see a dive comp come out here, but also a little are going to be able to approach this fight with, and it's gonna be a quick engage here as they look to get something.
Sorry guys, I'm trying real hard. Okay, so Nero comes out.
He tries to hit the monkey to finish him off, but the primal rage will keep someone alive. A big sleep, and now a death blossom for Kai with all
I think we went a little too far ahead. I was trying to figure out why he beat it so late, because there were two people that were already dead.
Again, it's the Atlanta Rein looking to win this fight with someone. He didn't have too much of an impact, got instantly slept, and that just allowed Kai to get to the backline ASAP and pick off those squishy supports.
I think Hydron using that Death Blast in there was such a waste. Why go
so because they won that fight so far back, there's not like an opportunity for a forward hold on this one. So
yeah, a lot of pace going on right now. These fights happening so quickly. They do on control.
I really can't wait for the replay, like the actual replay tool to come out, so that we can kind of take a look at the positioning of these fights a little better.
Tussle on the point. Doomfist in this form, in this tank form, he is very hard to kill more often than not, unless you sleep him. That's block plus his ability to just escape any situation.
So,
low cooldowns makes him
all right, so if we look here, look how like defensively this Ana's having to position. Now we've got and I don't think you can see the Ana because my big fat head's in the way, so I'll move myself down here. So look how far back this Ana's having to play. She doesn't have really any opportunity to push up through this choke. Even I would say even if this Winston is here, but he's coming from spawn, right? So her option is I'm gonna have to pump heals from here, and then this Lucio is just gonna have to do what he can to like help defend Checkmate over here in White Room. So, and the reason for that is they're playing this comp that's just it's super easy to get on top of this Ana in Disrupt, and so she can't get in range of this Doomfist's leap. And the advantage here is Ultraviolet, who is also on the Ana for the other team, is able to push up a lot farther, a lot more able to get value out of her heals from, you know, a like wider degree, like just visual degree here. Whereas this Ana's pushback in this choke doesn't have a ton of options to come up here and try to assist her teammates. One thing I do want to mention is one thing we would classically see through this composition was, you know, like the Beyblade stuff, where the Ana would hold her nano boost for when Reaper had the his ultimate. You don't see that as much anymore because you'll see just kind of as we see this composition coming through that the ult charge doesn't tend to sync up a lot, and it's more valuable to start trying to recharge that ultimate than to hold it to try to get it to match. So, all right, let's keep going here.
He is very hard to kill more often than not, unless you.
And so the reason this matters, right? So the Ana is now able to push up a little further into this choke, but now Winston does not probably, and this is where we would be able to check if we had the actual replay tool. Like, Winston probably doesn't have a good visual information on where Ana is, whereas the Doomfist is able to just put his body in between the Ana and the Winston here. So he gets the knockback on the Winston, but then cuts the Ana off from being able to heal the rest of the team. And while I'm saying that, there's the counter dive, right? So he probably goes a little too deep and tries to cut off a little too hard. So if we were looking at this from a top angle, right, what the Doomfist is trying to do is cut the Ana off from being able to heal the rest of the team. But the problem is if he's going into that dive alone, he lacks any kind of real burst to be able to do anything about the Ana except just kind of disrupt. Whereas it looks like this Winston's going in with a little bit more of a coordinated dive onto their back line. So you're going to see Checkmate go to the back line, get the Lucio out of the way. At this point, the Genji's all the way back here. That means this whole entire fight's been pushed back. Doomfist has been successful in cutting the Ana off here, but nothing else because he doesn't have anybody going in with him. And this is, again, like one of those muscle memory things, right? And I doubt it impacts Overwatch League as much as, it does, people who are playing quick play right now. But it used to be that, and we'll let this fight play through because it's pretty much over. Both healers are gone. It used to be, if you got on top of the Ana as Doomfist, you just deleted the Ana. And it doesn't work like that anymore because Doomfist isn't DPS. But you see how... Let's go back and watch it again, because I think this is important. Because Florida looked good coming out here, right? So this is just the classic, ignore the big meat bag coming in the front, trying to do his shit, and let's render him completely ineffective, because once he's in here, he doesn't have any tools to get out. The only utility that he has at this point is his power block to deflect out projectiles. But he's already used his, seismic punch to get in the back line. He's already used his seismic slam to cut off the Ana. He can't get back into this and impact it. And even if he could, the Lucio's already dead. The Ana's about to die. This fight's over, right?
But the rest of his team, not so much. It was pretty easy for someone in Checkmate to just dash past Hawk and finish.
And now they just go back.
And now the Florida Mayhem.
The Doomfist does what he can to contest the point, but it's just a matter of time. He gets some 5-6% more point progress, and they're back to this. And now, where this fight differs from the last fight is this Winston is now able to push their spawn door, right, and is able to. They're gonna have to use cooldowns to get in.
Will Atlanta Reign have enough time to do that, though? Because that percentage is ticking up to the point where we would be.
Oh, actually, he doesn't. They don't take that. They're playing this very defensively too. This is a really good play by the Genji here. Oh, and a much better play by the Lucio. We saw support players popping off today with their ult timing, and this was fucking good. This is not always the exact place that you're gonna think Ana's gonna be, right? So, all right. So basically, there's two places that Ana's probably gonna be in this map. One is where is that choke where we saw her to begin with, because she can kind of use these platforms as cover. The second and less likely place, I believe, is on this platform all the way in the back. I think there's a little more flank opportunities. I think it's a little harder to defend yourself in this, but I think you can get some good angles for offensive bio-nades, things like that. But at the end of the day, it's really hard to defend yourself. And I think if Lucio's not close to beat, I don't think you're holding this position. Because it's kind of a get out of jail free card, as we're about to see. But if Lucio's close to beat, the Ana's standing right here, and the Genji does a really good job picking her out. And I think if Anima is a second later on this, it's the Ana's deleted, but that is not the case. So the Genji is just going to push straight through here and come around here, wall climb this, and just ignore all of this that's coming through, right? the speed that he gets to this point is pretty insane. All right, let's
Would be in last fight territory. We're just gonna see the nano used here. They've got to go now.
They have to go. Oh, nice deflect on the nade. Still lands on Nero. There's the beat to save.
so good. So they commit a lot to dive this Ana.
He is very hard to kill more often than not, unless you sleep him. That's block.
Oh, we went back way too far. Sorry, guys. Still figuring it out. So because they also commit the Doom ult to try to get to her. She does a good job dodging. The Doom's already at half health. And then at this point, there's just like this Genji is just cut off. He doesn't have a really great way of getting back into this fight. Like, sure, he can dash back through somebody, but he's going to be right in the middle. This Doomfist is low, has no opportunity to really, like, kind of forwardly defend and try to soak up damage, because if he goes in, he's dead. Oh, I keep forgetting I've got this pen. So, you know, Doomfist is here. He's down to a 5th health. This Genji, that whole play is dependent on him deleting that Ana. Not to mention he uses his ultimate in order to do it, right? Oh no, he doesn't. I'm sorry. He doesn't use his ult. And he does get out, but again, like, look at how much time was needed to do that, and now Checkmate has his ultimate, is able to force them fully back, and they've got to just reset because it's their only chance to have an opportunity to contest. And now they don't get another team fight, right? The Doom has to kind of panic. He gets instantly deleted. Checkmate goes down, but at this point, you're just playing bodyguard, deleting people off the point, and it's just a matter of time. Like, you always win these, right? Oh, okay, yeah. I was gonna say that got in that, like, spooky territory, right? Like, it went a little too long. Maybe Nero gets back in, can come through, commit his ultimate, like, do something to turn that fight. I unfortunately not able to touch the point. Yeah, zoning ult from the Reaper there.
Mayhem as well, because you just have to take a look at the sound barrier. Honestly, all the sound barriers that we've seen today have been so on point, but Anima was able to...
Everybody was shocked also that Florida even won on, like, a point. Like people did not think they were going to be able to come in and compete. All right, so now we're moving off of the Reaper. We're going to the Soldier. Basically, mirror comp outside of just who your dive tank is, right? I'm interested to see kind of how Hawk adapts, and I think, like, is it Florida getting less patient on their counter dive? Because that was the thing that won them that match, right? Like, they didn't let Doom dictate where the point of attack was going to be. They waited for the Doom to commit, and then they committed the counter to it. And they just, when you have the Winston bubble, you have the ability to cut off a lot of the line of sights that make your Anas effective, right? So, all right. So this is the view that I'm excited. We can do this anytime in a fight when we have the replay viewer up, which, again, I don't think we have now. So this is probably, like, a standard setup for these two compositions, because you want to make sure that with the Doomfist, I think, like, you're setting yourself up to have to be able to, like, put yourself in a more defensive position, right? Because there's just more engage options when it comes to the Winston with his bubble. He can cut people off and isolate them and output the damage needed to kill them, whereas they can take the opportunity of saying, okay, we can kind of put ourselves a little more on offense, fight for this point, try to win first fight. So I think this is just probably standard setup for what you would see between these two. Whereas if both these teams are Winston, they're probably poking around these, and again, I should be drawing. They're probably poking around here and looking for opportunities to dive and try to get on that back line. But now you've got this line of sight from Ana. She can handle here. If Winston goes into the back line, she can handle here. Winston, because of the blockade position right here from the Doomfist, really isn't going to be able to threaten this position. So really his only option is going to be here, and your options to get out are just way greater. So, so yeah, that's where we're at with just this preliminary setup for the fight.
I'm not really sure what we're supposed to call this anymore. Afternoon market might also work out here. Who knows? But
oh, well.
So I think like this is just, and I'll stop pausing it so that we can actually get through this match in less than 2 hours. But
I think we can do much from here. That's the thing. As soon as Doom uses that,
I think there's a lot of disadvantage in going in that room first because you limit the number of sight lines that you have for your soldier. Now, obviously, they win this first fight because they pick out this Lucio. So what happened here?
Anyway, back to spawn, chaps. I think.
Oh no, I'm sorry. They pick out the.
afternoon market might also work out.
Oh, the Doom just got absolutely shit on. What the hell?
I'm not really
He takes some damage there.
supposed to call this anymore. Afternoon market might also work out.
Oh, he just went in. Oh, he got
But
slept and then killed, didn't he?
I'm not really sure what we're supposed to call this anymore.
So he dives in.
Also work out.
He gets slept and then he's just deleted. There's no you can't get him out from there.
That sucks. Hawk's dead. Anyway, back to
All right, let's reset that fight. We lose it. I think they had a good. I think if he stays out of that room and makes them play into him, that's a different fight.
To target. He's not deflecting or anything like that, so you can anti-nade, you can sleep him, and it's very easy to clean up after that. If you just CC the Doomfist, he's like old Doomfist in a way. You CC him, he's going to die.
Woo! Winston was low. They almost came back with a counter pick on the tank. He was very low there.
He's going to die.
Yeah, he was.
If you just CC the Doomfist, he's like
What was he doing?
You CC him.
Where was he at? Oh, he was up on the high ground, so he just ate a shitload of damage.
CC the Doomfist, he's like old Doomfist in a way. You CC him, he's going to die.
Yeah, that was almost a disaster for
And
Florida.
I think that the other thing about Doomfist is you still have to worry about how you use those mobility cooldowns. If you don't have anything to escape, then you're just kind of left out to dry.
Wouldn't call this an off angle, but Kai trying to do as much damage on the.
So they're just poking. They're waiting for that Winston to commit, and oh my gosh! So he has to use bubble pretty early
You're
here.
just kind of left out to dry. Those mobility cool, sure, and I think
So he gets knocked down to like a 5th health. He's still only at a half health, and they start pushing in. So he's gonna jump in, and he has to just commit his bubble to try to mitigate some of that damage coming in from the soldier. So when he pushes past out of this choke, he does not have his bubble to try to keep him up, and he just ate every ounce of damage that was available to him. So, and sorry if I focus a lot on tanks. I play mostly tank, and it's what I know the most. I think once the Winston dies there, the fight's just over, right? And he kind of let's actually go back. Sorry, he makes a very strange decision here. So you have 2 line of sight healers out here, right? You've got your Ana and your Lucio. Where are they at? Your Ana's right here. She has no sight lines past here, and even if she were to come out of the door that's, right here, there's still a big ass wall that she can't shoot through, right? So she has 0 line of sight onto this Winston. And I guess the thought is like, okay, this Genji's coming in here and gonna do something here, and maybe they're trying to pounce like the Ana. I don't know what they spotted. But the Lucio's here, and the Lucio's not getting to this fight anytime soon either. So interesting to say we're going to just YOLO over this wall. We don't have bubble. We don't have anything that's going to be able to help us out. There's no opportunity for me to get healed here, so instead I'm just going to get shit on. And sure, he kills the Lucio, but he has no recourse to get back. And at that point, it's just the go button on the back line or for Florida, and it's an easy retake.
26% for the Florida Mayhem. Hydron is eventually chased down. A little bit harder in Overwatch 2 with the DPS passive stacking with sprint. He's quick.
super quick. And I love the off angles again that you were mentioning. You know, Kai and Hydron being able to play this Soldier 76 just
And I think when you're playing this Doom, you have to play like this. I think this is the way that you make the Doomfist successful. You wait until the other team commits into the fight, and you punish any overextension that's going to happen, right? Or you take the opportunity to counter dive. So, all right, so the Ana gets killed here.
Damage, and so I like that Hydron is going to continue to stay back from the team because you have that long range.
Another very early.
So, oh, I'm sorry. No, the checkmate dies, and then Lucio dies. I don't think we got to see like the point of contact on that fight, but it's instantly over as soon as Lucio's killed. Right? Like, you have to use Lucio's speed boost in order to get through some of these doorways and get to the point and open that fight up a little more and let the Doomfist make his decision.
And slows people, so that will enable Nero.
All right, again, we've just got a crazy dive into this backline. Someone is being very aggressive here. He does have, and he does have primal.
Meteor strike, nano visor being used by Hydron, doesn't find any.
So much CC.
And I think this is probably me just like miscalculating the speed of the soldier, because from here it looks like he has absolutely no support, because his Lucio is right here, right, and then his Ana is like back here somewhere. Off screen, but I think the soldier's coming up through this like flank back here, and it's going to get an angle. And I think the thought is like, okay, well, Doom's going to use his cooldowns to get back to me, but then we can just ignore him. And if we can pick out, you know, Hawk and OG, then I'm sorry, if we can just pick out OG here, then you know, this is a one fight for us. I should probably let the fights play out and then come back and review them. Probably for the best, just to see how they go rather than speculating. The fact that he did that and didn't have to pop primal is absolutely insane. Like he died, but I don't think he needed to. Did he not need to pop primal? Oh yeah, they lose this fight. I think he just. I think he. So Hydron pops the tack visor, right? I think at this point, if you're the Winston, you've got to pop your primal. Like, oh, he got bio-naded. Okay. So he was on the back line, thought that that's a good trade, and yeah, they just got outplayed there. He couldn't have popped primal and it have done any good. So
controlling this mega health pack room, and like you saying that.
And now they're coming into this fight like they've got primal. They can stall the fight out and try to grind it out until they get beat. But OG's gonna have beat here, and then at that point it's like, okay, well, you use one of these offensive ultimates, right, to get beat, and then you clean up with the next. Let's see if that's what happens.
Healing station, it just makes him almost invincible. You really have to target him and push him out of those positions to take him out.
I don't understand the, like, that was just another very aggressive dive from, like, he still does not have line of sight on his healers. All right, let's let the fight play out. Then we'll come back to it. Maybe I'm missing something, but I feel like someone is being entirely too aggressive.
Well, there's a visor available too. They may only need one of those ultimates. A nice beat.
Oh, and checkmate dies.
From Animo, but now they have to worry about Nero. Another beat.
And look, someone's getting value obviously out of this, and they get tack visor out, but they have to respond with beat. All right, now we can talk about this fight, right? Okay, so let's look again at some of this positioning. You've got your Winston here, you've got your Lucio here, and your Ana's all the way back here. She's not healing anybody. This Winston in the next second and a half is going to hop over the wall, past where his Lucio is and just go into this back line, leaving everybody here unprotected, unaccounted for. And I have to imagine that's why Checkmate dies here.
Push him out of those
But again, we don't have the observer to be able to see. So
don't really have the mobility to do so. I mean, Checkmate can try to go after that, but hey, Nero saved the blade.
So Nero's got blade still. Kai, this is when he pops his, so Kai pops Tack Visor after Checkmate is killed. And that gets Animo's beat out, and beat only hits. Who does beat hit? It hits someone, it hits Hydron, but the fight's over. Like, Kai's already ulting. Nero's got his ult.
They do forego the point, but they can still attack once again. I mean, Hydron is dead.
They flip the point, yeah. Interesting. Very interesting approach from someone. Like, this is hyper aggression. And yeah, they're getting some percentage points over this, but
his available too with no nano, but someone does end up going down. Nero just trying his hardest to kill Checkmate.
That was ugly. That was ugly. That was over aggressive, and it felt like a fight where they didn't really understand what ults the other team had. Like, they had just lost track. And look, that's probably a real thing that's happening right now. Like, just with all the different changes in the timing for with the different changes to the timing for ult charge, I can definitely see that being a challenge.
So much patience had to be
very interesting.
Well, to hold onto that Dragon Blade, and it ended up being at the perfect time. So I like that Nero was able to wait for some of that extra support coming in from that anti-bio grenade.
So Winston has a lot of benefit over Doomfist in two ways. Number one is his shield, and we can
and just a lot of other things that really help to
one is his shield, but the other is he has a significant amount of early fight survivability because he has armor, whereas Hawk just has pure health, right? So so someone has to understand that his him taking such early unmitigated damage and unhealable damage from the other team is really eliminating one of the key benefits of Winston as a tank, right? So this is good. All right. So let's watch this rollout again. So they're going to use their sim to beat the team to the point, which at one point was basically like a must do for any team playing Control. Is like you had so much benefit being the first to the point. So Atlanta goes, they all go.
Same kind of comp.
Oh no, well some go bridge, and then someone dives onto Hawk.
Really do, especially on these kind of maps where.
And Hawk has to decide, like, okay, am I going to try to? I think all of his teammates are back here, so he disengages backwards. Ana is on bridge, so she loses line of sight of him.
I really do, especially on these kind of maps where
anyway.
Environmentals are fairly common. Just runs back to the healing station, but OG environmentals are fairly common. Animo's in trouble. Just runs back to the healing station, but OG chases him down. That purple lasted for quite
right, they lost that fight hard. I don't really.
The Atlanta Reign now have control.
I don't really know why.
For this composition to be in too. Those environmentals, they come across the bridge. Not only Lucio couldn't get the boop off, but Doom.
I think that was just. I think they probably anticipated. My thought is they probably anticipated that Hawk was leading everybody else across the bridge, and so someone jumping over to bridge is like, okay, well, if we push in, they're gonna, we can follow up and attack them as they're coming across bridge, whereas Atlanta actually was going behind the point. And I think they're caught a little off guard. Someone doesn't have any cooldowns to get back to that fight, right? So it's all just unmitigated damage coming in. They get the sleep dart also onto Checkmate, it looked like. And you just clean up that fight.
Those environmentals, they come across the bridge. Not only Lucio couldn't get the boop off, but Doom just hits that punch, and the rest of your team goes flying.
like that Atlanta Reign is going to be using that aspect of this map to their advantage, but the other thing about this composition that really plays well for the Atlanta Reign is also the positioning that they can take. Kai continuing to get those off angles, already taking out Hydron. Kai's got everybody's number on the floor to Mayhem. Whether
How you feeling about Overwatch League so far, Circle?
The way.
I know we've been hanging for like an hour, and we haven't even got through the first map. But yeah, I think every fight's a little something to break down. Holy hell.
Oh, this will be the kill. Oh. Ooh. Nice. Yeah, his aim is so crispy. Kind of insane. Oh, this will be the kill. Oh. Ooh.
So much damage. That's crazy.
Man, those Helix rockets. They do a surprising amount of damage. It feels like I haven't seen Soldier in
that is a very fast 30%. Also. And Hawk just...
It feels like I haven't seen Soldier in those Helix rockets.
What is Hawk doing here?
They do a surprising amount.
Hawk is just nowhere near anyone, it looks like. He gets slept. He gets naded. He gets deleted.
But Hawk, unfortunately, goes down in white room.
Yeah, that was not great positioning from Hawk. They do get Animo.
So much damage, Rose. 90% on that visor. Hydron only 50.
It is a lot. Can you imagine if there was one other character on the field? I do think it's a little more understandable now that it's 5v5, but I also think it's a little more chaotic.
That could be really impactful if Kai can stay alive.
No, not quite good enough. Oh, a little boostio action maybe. Okay. Doesn't even need it. I mean, he killed Kai. We'll take those any day.
I think that there are things that they could add to the overlay still that would like make it more manageable to watch. That they just never got back together to collectively have a team fight. I feel like they killed Kai before Hawk was able to really get back in. And now basically going to have three ults up for Florida, 4 up for Atlanta.
That's going to be the biggest thing that the Atlanta Reign need to overcome in order to be able to get back control at this point, and then also hopefully take this first map to a win.
Just never really analyzed the field like this. Yeah, and I'm new to like, I mean, I've watched a lot of content. I haven't really done a lot of talking about it, so if anything seems like pointless or too much or, you know, open to feedback as well. But
in Overwatch 2,
I feel like Florida killed Hawk and then proceeded to just stagger people until they got 50% back. There were so many just kind of like individual kills where they went in deep and used their positioning. Kai's getting absolutely no value out of this tac visor. What are they doing? Like, I guess they're like, look, we gotta keep them off bridge. But Kai is pushed up so far. So hold on, we're going back here a little bit. Kai's basically like frontline tac visoring. I just don't think that they trust they can get back across bridge right here. But he gets no value out of tac visor.
That seemed like a rather easy play from the Atlanta Reign there. Use that visor, force out the beat, and they did just that. Nero receives the
okay. I'm dumb. They used it to get beat out. And then just backed off.
Hawk now following Ultraviolet to the spawn. My goodness.
But I feel like with tac visor, that ultimate, like, it does have a lot of value in getting out a fight-changing ultimate like beat. But I think there's a ton of space-creating value in it that should be taken advantage of, especially given that you don't have a second tank on the field to be able to create that space. So that fight was just interesting because, sure, they got the beat out, but they didn't get any additional value out of not having the beat. Because okay, so this is the order of operations here, right? The first order of business is we have to be able to safely get across this bridge. And they have some mobility, right? Like they can use Lucio speed boost to get them across the bridge. They have, obviously, Doom can launch himself in and create space. So that's order of operations 1. We have to make it safe to get across bridge. Order of operations 2 is we have to be able to make sure we get value out of one of these offensive ultimates. And the way that we're going to do that is we are going to have have Kai tack visor so that Animo has to beat, right? And at that point, it opens up Genji to be able to get into the back line and do his work with the blade. And let's see. So that's the thought process. That's the order of operations here. Let's see how they do. I mean, we've already seen the fight, and the answer is that they don't do very well. So tack visor comes out. Beat comes out. Kai comes back, and at this point, Genji's standing right next to Kai. So they haven't created any of the space that's required, and then I'm guessing Doom just had to use that to get out. So they haven't created any of the space that's required for Genji to be able to get any of his value out of this blade. And so he's coming in here. He pops blade here. His target's back all the way back here. So you get your dash reset, right? So he pulls blade. His goal is to get here to the Ana. But as long as the Ana has the sleep dart, he's not going to get any value out of this. So they're using the beat to create the space to get in. He's going to ignore checkmate here. He's going to try to get to the Ana, but then he has to use his deflect almost instantly because he doesn't want to get slept. And at that point, they just back out of the fight. They disengage. He doesn't have any more charge cooldowns, and he doesn't get anything. And now checkmate's already built his ultimate up, and he's in. And so he's able to get way more value out of his blade, despite the fact that they invested Kai's ultimate to get Animo's beat out.
Inside their team, it was just super. I don't need to dash for anything. You guys are coming to me.
Exactly.
So
Has to switch over to the Tracer in order to get
they didn't get the value out of Kai's ult that they needed. They needed Kai to not only be able to force beat out, but also to create space on bridge so that they could get to that back line. Even if the Kai goes out there, and even if Kai goes out there as soldier, and maybe he gets slept, like it's a cooldown that you get out. Beat wears off, and then you win. And then at that point, OG came out, got killed. So yeah, overall, I think that was interesting because I feel like they kind of got it in the second map. Obviously, they won the second round of that, but I think that they gave up 50% off of one pick in the very first fight after Hawk died. They gave up 50%, and then they mismanaged their ultimates and didn't create the space required to get the value out of Genji's ultimate, and it was over. All right, let's fast forward. Next map.
Obviously earlier on, now we see the Atlantic. So a little bit earlier. Dude, I love...
I'm going the wrong way.
No subs.
Eichenwalde.
While
right.
Atlanta Reign didn't win that
very interesting strategy. I did watch quite a bit of this now. Very interesting strategy from Florida coming out on this map. So they're going to come out on the Reinhardt. I think Checkmate's actually going to go May. Yeah, Checkmate goes May. That we did have a Baptiste. I was sitting here and asking if we had a Baptiste at all today. We did.
That is a lot of health to chew through. We have seen the Florida Mayhem be able to answer
that pretty
beautifully with sleeps, but
this is a very interesting composition. It's very static. The May does not get nearly as much value in these choke points because while she slows, she doesn't fully freeze with her ice gun. And we've already talked about how Baptiste doesn't get nearly as much value without a second tank on the field because you're not grouped up nearly as much. So
that mobility that Doomfist
this is an interesting composition.
As well as just use the verticality on Eichenwalde. This could be
I think it may have been the first time we saw Rein.
Could see some crazy rollouts, but probably not. I would love to see it, but it ain't gonna happen, unfortunately. I know QuakeDon has been working hard, getting rollouts done for every single map on new Doomfist. Maybe we'll see a little something of that a little bit later down the season, just to surprise somebody. That's weird. We are seeing Nero on Widowmaker just for a quick peek, and he sees nothing. Does see the top of a Rein shield though, so maybe that's communicated.
Right.
But yeah, no changes at all. We're seeing checkmate.
And then Atlanta's just sticking with Old Faithful here, right? Like they're going out with the Doom dive.
I like that, especially against what the Rein have shown us so far, though. If you're playing something a bit more static, who do you actually jump on?
So the challenge with this as a Rein is getting on top of somebody long enough to be able to effectively bully them off the point, right? So the Maywall like is not as effective because there's so many abilities that can just escape over the Maywall. So it's like, sure, he can get a swing on Doom when he dives in, but he just gets knocked around so much, and there's nothing like Doom kind of not Doom. Rein kind of is suffering from the same thing that I would say supports are suffering from right now, where like Rein really has to be empowered by a good off tank in order for him to be effective, because there's just not a whole lot that this composition is doing for him that's empowering him to deal damage with his hammer. And like they killed the Ana in that fight and still got demolished in it. But like Maywall's not going to do anything to slow this composition down because almost everybody can just get over it. You know? Oh my god, Hydron got hit on as soon as he peeked.
And the Atlanta Rein may make that really tough with the amount of disruption that Doomfist and Genji provide.
This is a very hard place for Soldier to get a lot of value too. They do win this fight, but and it's because of window, but
when you 1v1 May in the Overwatch 2 beta. Is the best spot for them to be in though, Rose? Just
I love that. So if you watch, Soldier's gonna ping right up here because he sees Doomfist reposition up there. Hawk used his ultimate to get up there too. I was like, all right, well, we're just gonna hang back here. This, and I don't understand this. Oh, we went back a little far. So he pings them, right? They know the Doom is back here. And I guess the thought is like, okay, well, this is our opportunity. Like, okay, so the Soldier was here. He pings the Doom that's standing up here. But this whole unit is going to move forward. And then Doom's going to just be able to come in from behind, seal him off. Let's see how it plays out. It's a bold strategy.
For them to be in though, Rose.
He pings him.
Just holding on to this choke point. Someone does get slept.
Oh, and Rein got slept, so
Hydron just on this perma flank. Oh, does spot out Kai, might be in a little bit of
yeah,
trouble.
they just, I mean, they kill Hawk, but I think they still lose this, right? Like,
spawns are closer for the Rein, and they have the ults for this next push. Nano Blade, Nano Visor, Beat, whatever combination you want to use. There is going to be a beat for the
okay,
Blizzard.
so they used May Blizzard to slow it down, I guess. They get beat out. But Kai just pops Tac Visor and deletes everybody.
Hawk and OG jump past the shield, finish off the rest of the Mayhem, and the Rein can get the payload going.
I like the pathing that Kai took as well with that nano visor, just to be able to kite around some of the Florida Mayhem and be able to get those final blows. Really good stuff coming out from this Soldier 76.
I think here it's even harder to get the value out of the May because it's a lot more open. There's a lot more verticality in this space. Kai's just in the backline, free firing.
Keep hearing new voice lines that I've not heard before.
And like the shield just doesn't do a lot to mitigate the damage, right? Because the damage is coming from so many different angles. Yeah, they did win this fight. I'm being kind of hard on Florida, but this is a very wacky composition. And like the idea of we're gonna hold this high ground here with the Reinhardt.
Or the amount of, I should say, boops really from the Rein can put someone in a bit of a sticky situation. Does have the tank passive, so he isn't easily moved, but a punch and a boop at the same time, yeah, you're going in the drink.
Especially if Ultraviolet decides to pepper on a sleep dart on top of that, right? I don't think there's anything that's going to save you from coming.
So they've used so many cooldowns to
Nero trying to do a little bit of dirty work there. Oh, so much head in a whole world of hurt. Somehow gets away. That right click.
What did Hawk do?
Oh, so much.
Oh, Hawk just went in way too deep. I think he thought.
From coming back from sleep dart.
Yeah, tank passive, so he isn't.
So I think Hawk thought, okay, we got Lamp out. Let's go. You know, we can just deal a lot of damage in here.
Top of that, right? I don't think there's anything that's
And nade the bio-nade only hits.
gonna save you from coming back from.
Okay, so Hawk comes in from behind, and they just don't have the damage to do anything there. Like, I think if you have a Reaper in that situation, it's a lot different fight. But, you know, they can just turn on Hawk and don't have to worry too much about Nero. I also think that if... I guess if they were trying to maybe bait out beat or something like that, because I also think like that's a great opportunity to blade there, right? Like you blade, even if they pop, even if they pop beat there, you can go in with Kai with the tack visor and
those ultimates, though. It feels like, you know, Florida Mayhem
and clean up, but I don't know.
Where does Nero go from here?
What is happening in this room? Oh my goodness, there's like 15 ults happening. Okay.
Holy shit. So, again, I wish we had the actual replay viewer so we could see where Kai comes from here. So he's still in this room, right? Oh, and he was standing to the right. Wow. Holy shit. So smart. He takes Lamp out first, turns onto the Baptiste, and then it's just fight over. No healing output in here anymore.
The nano wasn't even used, the blade, the meteor strike, everything happened all at once. The Mayhem didn't really have a chance to respond there with ults of their own.
Nope, I take it back. I take it back. Nero proved me wrong. Nope, I take it.
Holy shit. They nade the all five right out of spawn. Oh my god. Is the Ana like... The Ana's back there. So the Ana standing back here behind the point, right? Rein has his shield up and then looks down at the ground. She chucks this thing like mega high. Holy shit.
The Mayhem didn't really have a chance to respond there with ults of their own.
Nope.
If the Rein doesn't look down here,
I take it back. Nero proved me wrong. Nero proved me wrong again.
Oh my god.
That was a massive anti from Ultraviolet nanoed.
What? He was nanoed for that, obviously. Like, and he does a shitload of damage there. All five of them are naded. If you all five get naded, you all walk back into that room and wait it out. Holy cow.
2 minutes and 40 seconds for the last point. Nero's going to be close to that blade.
Yeah, I think Nero earned it at this point with all the legwork that he's put into this match. Nero definitely earned that blade. And especially just
and like with this, it's you're just sitting there, your shield's eating damage, you're eating damage from the Genji. You just don't have any options to deal with him effectively. Like the most you can hope for is that you I guess that's an option. I guess that's an option. You just charge them out of the fight. But, you know, they come through with the tack visor. It gets... There's a beat. It's taken care of.
Someone with the giant pin across the map does end the blade, and Nero. The Rein are still fighting at the gates.
Oh, okay. He also he popped blade there too. So that was good. That was good, I guess. The kill feed's all jacked up too, because it said checkmate is red, but checkmate is on Florida. Nero with the oh, you couldn't see it. Nero typed LOL in chat.
Also not having a good enough time. Someone's shadows have been really impactful so far.
They have been so good, and I feel like it's so rewarding as a Reinhardt also with that new kind of critical.
If this comp is gonna succeed for Florida, this is where it has to succeed, right? Like at this choke point, you're holding forward. You don't really get as much value trying to hold corner as you used to be able to with a second tank, where you could like defense matrix out a lot of incoming damage. So you've got to take this aggressive like forward hold, and someone just again way over aggressive here. Like he's just swinging. What is he even after? He goes through, cancels charge. I don't understand what he's trying to get to.
For a big flank of his own, Checkmate using the Blizzard to, I guess, corral the mate.
Because his Baptiste wasn't anywhere near him to be able to heal up the damage that he took to have to get into that position. Very weird, because again, like this is such an advantageous position. They're getting a lot of value still out of wall, but I think like the most easily defensible position on Eichenwalde for this composition is at that gate. And yeah, you're seeing once you can push into it, you just free fire on the team and push it back. And at this point, it's like there's no real ultimates coming up for Florida.
What else do they have? The Atlanta Reign right now are still sitting on that nano blade combo that you pointed out, and now the
Nera's already built up another blade.
Nano blade straight to the back. There's the immortality field gone. The ice block.
How did Kai die?
Sitting on that nano blade combo that you pointed out, and now the sound barrier as well.
Another thing about the replay viewer is it's way more high quality than like us just trying to script through this VOD.
Straight to the back. There's the immortality field.
Yeah.
The ice block unfortunately still can't be.
I feel validated for each. Are you talking about overextending as a tank?
It's going to help the rest of the team stay alive. The Atlanta Reign had 2 minutes coming in, and they got 17 seconds for their next attack. If they get one, of course.
There was no recovering after someone charged through that door.
It was really good, and I think that had a lot.
Like they gave up the most easily defensible position on that. It starts to widen out at that point. You have no more ultimates. Yeah, that was a done deal.
Off from the Atlanta Reign from being able to support each other. Florida Mayhem played that really well. Obviously, they would.
Oh, charging a DPS or crossing off the map entirely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like. That was one of those. I think it felt more impactful than it probably actually was. Like, obviously, it gets Blade out there, but it's like the card's not pushing back any more than where it was. And I think that's why Nero puts LOL in the chat, right? Like, it's a funny looking play. It makes the Rein feel good. Holy cow!
What is more satisfying than that? I cannot name a single thing. Oh my.
That nade. Like, yes, the Genji play, obviously, great. He's getting all kinds of charge resets off of his confirmed kills, but the nade, 5 nades, like, I don't understand why you don't just say, oh, sorry guys, back into the choke we go.
Has been doing a fairly good job on the Doomfist. Someone's had a little bit of a tough time on the Reinhardt. You will against all the knockback, but the shadows have been good. But this time around, switching up to a Winston, a bit more dive orientated. Hydron with the jump, with the miss.
Ooh, almost got the Ana. All right, so they're back to the dive now. They're like, all right, the Reinhardt probably not helping us here.
You are able to initiate on fights so much faster.
So this is the kind of play that you never see in your mid-tier lobbies like mine, where you're playing a dive comp, and so we're going to sit back as the defensive team and let the offense come into us and respond. So, you know, there's a lot to take in with Overwatch League matches, and there's a lot that cannot be applied to what it is that you're doing in your games and that I'm doing in my games, because you don't have the coordination, you don't have the communication, and you don't have the mechanical skill, right? This is an easy change that a lot more people can do. So people think, oh, big choke here, easiest defense point, all compositions. And like, back in the day when you used to just like throw up an Orisa shield and then have, you know, like your hog throwing hooks out here and stuff like that, like, sure, this is a great position to try to hold. If you're playing dive, this is not a good position to try to hold, because if let's say I'm monkey and I'm standing here, right? And I'm like, I want to play into them. If I jump here, my Ana has to keep a very tight line of sight, and there's so much room back here for the other team to just disengage. So what you do in a dive comp on Eichenwalde is you make them push past this choke or past this choke, and you just counter dive them and don't take a bunch of unnecessary damage. So yes, if you're in your gold lobbies or plat lobbies like I am, and you want to play dive compositions and, you know, these high mobility compositions, just know, don't stand here. Don't take a bunch of unnecessary damage, because what happens is you jump the back line, they can loop around here, you're pinched, they've got the defensive position again. That doesn't happen in this kind of position. All right. My little spiel.
Fights so much faster, and now it really is about these back lines.
So if Hawk doesn't get spotted out there in the back, I think this takes a different turn too. Now it turns into a much more like front-facing or aggressive fight, because I think Hawk was trying to get around and punch somebody back into the comp. They got such deep position here. What an easy fight.
Nibbing a soldier with that healing station. It's almost impossible to kind of dislodge.
All right, we'll let this whole fight play.
Nibbing a soldier with that healing station on top of that, yeah. Basically impossible. Quick offense for the Mayhem. They're going to get that payload in a
really good fight from Florida there. So yeah, let's go back and take a look at what happens here. So I think part of this starts with. All right, so here's Hawk, right? Hawk is going to try to come through here and punt. I don't know if he's going to try to punch the Winston back into here, or maybe try to pick somebody off and just get them back in so that they have to waste cooldowns on the way out and can't initiate. But someone's going to spot Hawk very early and have to get him and force him to turn. So, oh no, I'm sorry. It was Checkmate that spots him. So get some damage on him. He's like, okay, I can't do this. I think even like these Helix rockets are coming in. And so he has to back up, right? So now there's, I think the call is like, okay, the backline that we've spotted out here doesn't have any protection from, or the backline here, I'm sorry, doesn't have protection from Hawk because he's trying to get this flank position. So we're going to take the fight to them and put in their only real path of escape is back down the staircase. So they're going to dive here. Good line of sight to try to fire on them if he can push past the car wash here, and then the Ana's going to have line of sight too if she just comes through here and stands in there. So all because they were checking their flanks, checking their corners. They knew what Hawk was trying to do here. So
it really is about these back lines. Who can keep the Ana up better?
Oh dearie me, Nero goes so low. No, and a Helix rocket from downtown does end him. Nice grenade, however, from Ultraviolet to keep Hawk alive. Hydron.
Oh, and then okay, so it wasn't about free firing on them. The fight happens quite a bit later, and you just can't unseat the soldier from that position. And he just got free damage. And at that point, you collapse in this building and just clean up.
The early takeout of Nero did help with that, so you didn't.
That was a faster fight than Atlanta had on it. And I think, part of that is like, it's a lot harder to deal with a Reinhardt and like a May with an ice block and all this stuff. They just won the positioning fight there.
So a little bit of a different flavor now coming out from the Mayhem, just going more full force dive with the Atlanta Rein going a bit more on the brawl.
Oh my gosh.
Hydron's already dead. Wow.
What was Hydron doing?
From the Mayhem, just going more full force dive.
Like, where did he get killed from? Oh, he was in the back line trying to deal some stuff and just got taken out by Nero.
Wow. Very classic dive from the Mayhem.
But again, like, look, you killed Nero, sure, but you die in the process.
That was a really nice punch. That
I think that's exactly what Jaws is saying right there.
You really need a lot of your other team. They do trade Nero though, but someone went a little.
Yeah, he said you trade Nero, but you die in the process. Like, and then the fight's won in the backline because Doom's still there, and heals are coming in. So
I suppose. I'm trying to think of a funny way to put it.
that's okay. Again, like, I don't think they wasted a whole lot to do that.
It doesn't feel good if you're on the receiving end.
Maybe they nanoed. Did they nano somebody?
Your other teammates to follow up on.
Oh, yeah, they nanoed the Genji. I guess they were gonna nano blade there. I don't know what the call was, but yeah. So, like, and that makes that a much bigger deal, right? Like, because otherwise you're just like, okay, well, we're at the car wash here. It's not a huge deal, but they were playing that fight around a nano blade, I think, that wasn't able to happen because someone was fucking around in the back.
You gotta stop doing that. Empowers Doomfist and makes it a nightmare for the support. There's the blade. Beat in response. Almost
nothing.
OG heard the voice line.
He doesn't have anything. The beat comes out, which is, I mean, it isn't nothing, but he's not able to press that anymore because he just doesn't have the damage output to do it. Dude, this is the difference right here. Like, people want to be like, well, I want to play like pro. He is face tanking all of this damage coming into him, and just like, oh, I'm gonna deal damage to them. Like, he's not flanking here or anything. He's just trusting his heals. I'm just trusting that my Ana's gonna hit her shots, and we are gonna win this.
Kai, though, in the back line, just dives straight on top. Death Blossom kills two, and a stick from Hydron does kill Nero, but the Atlanta Reign are still up. And Hydron just has to sneak away.
That feels bad. That feels bad. You get the stick, but like the fight was already lost.
Everyone on the floor to Mayhem was so low, and I love that Kai was able to capitalize on that with the Death Blossom and just finish them off. But the other big thing about this is that Atlanta Reign, they're chewing away at this time bank.
That's unlucky, playing a little bit too aggressive.
Is that Atlanta Reign, they're chewing away at this time bank and just finish them off.
All right, so Kai has to burn a lot. Like, Kai just stuck around too long because he's dead. He's trying to hunt this Tracer, right? He's trying to kill the Tracer, but at this point, he's all by himself, and you just got to understand the spawn disadvantage you're at right here. Like, it's going to take your team longer to get back to you, and you don't have the cooldowns to get out of this, right? Like, he's trying to hunt the Tracer, but by the time he has to phantom out, and he gets killed. So that's the difference in that fight. Then OG fault, yeah, there's just no damage follow-up on the dive. Because you're having to commit to get into that fight to try to get your Reaper out of there. So, and like, it's the little things like that. Like, those are things that you can probably get away with in your, like, ranked lobbies, and, you know, but you can't overstay and, try to get that. Like, what's the value in killing that Tracer, right? She's just going to get back into the fight quickly off the spawn anyway. Did they beat, like, an ability? Or was this like an offensive?
Checkmate the nano blade for Nero, though, who can get more done. I'm looking at the kill free. There's one apiece. Checkmate the nano blade for Nero, though, who can get more done. I'm looking at the kill free. There's one apiece. Nero finds one. Checkmate 10% away from a blade of his own, but Nero gets booped off the map. Unfortunately,
this was kind of a wild fight.
There's the nano onto checkmate. The nano blade for Nero, though, who can get more done. I'm looking at the kill.
So they beat the nano blade.
Checkmate 10% away from a blade of his own, but Nero gets booped off the map. Unfortunate. OG does end up falling.
Man, they gotta fix this kill feed. I'm all confused. Like, I know Nero plays for Atlanta.
Mayhem with a stacked time bank, 4 minutes going into last.
They have so much snowball potential here. Also, I don't think they need the full 4-minute time bank. Checkmate has another blade. Hydron gonna have the pulse bomb up as well.
All right, so they got 4 minutes to try to push.
Someone do something with this primal rage, okay?
And they just get, I mean, they lost the fight at the wrong place, right?
OG scurries back into spawn, wall riding his way there. The Doomfist taking reduced damage when he has that block up, but he was quickly dispatched.
Because they kind of ran into the same problem here, right? Like, this is a very hard position to defend as a dive comp because it's just so wide open. Like, there's no map features to try to play around, and there's just so much ability to free fire, right? Like, as the defense, you're kind of in a bad position in this, whereas if you have a bunker playstyle, you can probably hold this a little better.
Losing a lot of their healing. Artemo's the only one left, but he's purple. Can keep the rest of the team alive as someone used that primal rage to knock OG senseless. The Rein have spawn advantage as someone pops out of primal.
Oh, someone died. It looked like they were about to kill Nero.
On the Reaper guy is going to keep him alive and well on the point.
What a turn on that fight.
Pops out OG senseless. The Rein have spawn advantage.
I mean, they just focused someone down. I think someone thought that they were going to get that kill on Nero, and I don't think there was the heals to keep him up.
It's going to be a reset for the Mayhem. Kai has Death Blossom too. This is going to be a very tough attempt for the Mayhem next push.
Mayhem don't have a response to that.
Oh,
unless maybe this is going to be it? Yeah, look at that. Checkmate. Going back over to the May here, and Sermajit going over to the Baptiste.
Oh.
I think the Immortality Field can be invaluable in these next few fights, just to keep Florida Mayhem up and alive, and then also Checkmate slowing.
And this is another hard fight for Florida. They don't have any ultimates. They'll have beat maybe mid-fight, but at this point, it's... Yeah, they Beyblade, and they push back. It doesn't kill anybody. Really, really, really valuable. Oh, that was a very valuable lamp from Baptiste.
OG lays his on the floor too. Nano Reaper does a fair bit of damage to Rein. Doesn't matter how much damage resistance you have. Ultraviolet falls, but
someone still dies. Like it's
tanky. Kai doesn't have Wraith form, and the rest of the Florida Mayhem are going to find him slipping.
If they're able to heal someone a little more in that fight, like...
I'm going to be able to touch the payload, but it's rolled back, Rose. It used to be right up on top of that point, but now...
What am I talking about?
So Kai doesn't have Wraith form, and the rest of the Florida Mayhem are going to find him slipping. Sermajit is still alive and well in the backline. The Florida Mayhem are going to be able to touch the payload, but it's rolled back, Rose. It used to be right up on top of that point.
So they did win this fight. I'm sorry. I missed this. So that lamp is huge. The reaction time, because that's the only thing it kills. It allows someone to get back. He takes a ton of damage. Great beat. So that lamp not only keeps someone from dying to that Reaper ult, right? It also gives Animo enough time to get his beat to win that fight. And then just a great play by Baptiste to defend himself in the backline, killing Nero. He was just about dead. So they flipped this fight. Like, this was a great fight win from Florida. Florida was totally down in ults. And now they're going to get Blizzard. And they're not even going to need Blizzard. Wow.
2 minutes and 17 on the clock versus...
All right, let's watch some overtime. Some extra rounds. All right, so Atlanta's only got a minute. I don't think you guys can read the times on this. It's super low quality. It feels bad.
Whenever he shoots somebody, okay, that is just a disgusting boop on Nero. That's a little bit of payback from earlier, from getting the first 5K in 2022.
So Atlanta's only got a minute. If we think back to the first Florida defense, like, I don't think that this was a very successful approach to this composition, but it did take them some time. It did take Atlanta some time to cut through it. And so I think as a secondary option in these extra rounds, when you have the advantage on the time bank, I don't think it's totally misguided to say, like, let's try it again. If we can stall them out, like, yeah, they may set a win condition or whatever, but at the end of the day, like, it's going to be a lot harder for them to charge ultimates when they're just shooting at shields and stuff like that, and they're not taking the... They're not going to make the... They feel like even if they play that the same way that they did, they're going to be able to grind out this minute. So, and they play it a lot more aggressively too. Like, they use speed to try to get in onto the line. They try to cut somebody off. Who did they try to cut off? I'm not sure who they were trying to cut off there, but the thought was if we catch somebody in the car wash, and they were almost successful at it. They do kill the Ana, but then they just lose the fight. And Kai just ignores it all.
And I take that trade any day of the week. Not only did Checkmate pop the ice block there, Sir Marjed instinctively used that lamp to try and survive in that small choke point.
Wow.
Ultraviolet swinging that.
So they didn't do anything that they were able to do in that in the first fight because they tried to go aggressive and get a pick. I think if they play that more defensively and try to grind that fight out and make them have to dive the backline onto the Rein, I think that composition works. But for them to use the speed boost like they did to try to pressure, like, I just don't think that's how you can play this comp. If you're wanting to go aggressive onto them, just play dive. And Nero's in the backline harassing everybody again. And Kai's in the backline with attack visor. Wow.
They finally make it work. The Rein popping 2 DPS ultimates, one in the front line,
Like,
one in the back line.
what are you doing?
Dismantle the Mayhem.
This isn't the same. They're trying to play Rush. That's what this composition is, right? It's Rush without the Diva or the Zarya or whatever. And without the Diva, you take so much unmitigated damage trying to get in.
This is so much sustainability still. And so, yeah, well, Florida Mayhem is playing the brawlier comp. That Blizzard might not matter if OG can respond to that.
Nice meteor strike. There's the slam. Doesn't quite kill Hydron. Someone is purple as the Blizzard gets put on the payload.
Like that was a brawl comp that they tried to run, and you know they do end up winning this fight. Did anybody even die? How did they win this fight? They just cut them off.
Might not matter if OG can respond to that.
Nice meteor strike. There's the slam.
I think they just stepped off the point.
Someone is purple as the Blizzard.
Nobody died. Nobody died. They just C9 that point. So, like, it wasn't even that the comp became effective at some point. They just stepped off.
And that nano, not quite enough to put them on the point.
That feels real bad.
Fred's check.
Pretty so, of course. But I would agree with you. I think the Florida Mayhem.
All right, after this, I gotta get after this match, I gotta get some water.
Worked the first time.
And then we're back for the last 2 maps.
Florida Mayhem, though, on that defense, they made a bit of a mistake. Going too aggressive, getting caught out, the Maywall separating a bunch of their players. Maybe that'll work a little bit better on the third point. We did see them switch to that, but this dive is really where it's at.
So back to the dive on offense here.
With that Soldier 76, as we've seen Kai do also. So it's up to both of those players to really find that opportunity.
It's a cool thing you can do with the Doomfist. You can cancel the Seismic Slam with one of your other abilities. So that's pretty nice. You can get some crazy, like, wacky Pharah kills if you're quick enough. He's just seeing what they're running with out of spawn, get a bit of extra information.
So it looks like their defensive positioning here is a lot different too. So if you guys remember why Atlanta lost this first fight, right? So they had Hawk back here trying to push the Winston and force him to use cooldowns to get out, and they had positioned Kai and Ultraviolet here in that previous fight. And so when it got called out, word. Sorry to hear your head's hurting you, Circle, but I appreciate you stopping by. So it's a lot of fun talking about Overwatch, and so yeah, I'm glad you're planning on coming by more. Hope you feel better. But yeah, so checkmate, not checkmate. Hawk tried to get behind here and push someone into the backline, and at that point, it just kind of fed them directly into their backline here. Now their backline has taken the high ground position that Kai flanked around to in the previous fight. So,
information.
different defensive positioning here for Atlanta in response to the way that they played that previous fight. So, but you got the Lucio still kind of baiting.
And then execute a dive. Oh, dearie me. Wow. Okay.
And what this does when you do this is it gives Kai more opportunities like we're seeing here to take this secondary line of sight while still having... So he's taking this secondary line of sight, you know, down this alleyway to the car wash that's behind. But it gives him the safety to be able to push out here if he gets dove, right? Whereas when he got dove in that last fight, the only option he had was to go down the stairs.
And then execute a dive.
Just good adaptability here. And they get into the back line and do what they were trying to do previously. Now, Hawk dies for it, but look how much value he gets out of it. He's on the back line. Both supports are deleted because of it. And Florida's forced to disengage. And now at this point, boom. Time banks are already even. They finished that previous their other round with a significant time bank advantage, but now they're on their second dive at 1 minute and 17 seconds left. So, and again, backline's dead. Hawk is getting so much value just from the fact that he is being very disruptive and forcing a lot of focus onto himself. This is where I think Control plays so much different than these other objective-based games. Is like, I don't think that Hawk is doing much different from what he was doing in that Control map that they lost, but it's just the counter dive options when you're playing defense are a lot more, or when you're playing offense are a lot more limited. You have to deal with Hawk. And he's just getting so much value out of diving into the backline.
But this should be an easy cleanup for the Mayhem now. I say that as Kai is somehow still alive. There's the tactical visor. Everybody from Mayhem finding a cheeky little hide-and-seek spot before they get zoned away, or killed off, I should say. OT just around the corner, 4 seconds.
Tag visor has so much more value now that there's not a Devo on the field and like a lot of things that can just absorb it. Like, did you see, like that fight was, I think, decently even. And for them to just have to disengage, and again, like Nero's dead, but Hawk is in the back line doing what he wants. They do end up winning this fight.
They're going to claim first point, but they're still in overtime, Rose.
We've seen how fast that overtime can expire, but the Florida Mayhem are coming with so many ultimates, and this is where I think it gets really tough for the Atlanta.
This is challenging because if your Ana's coming from spawn, your Lucio's babysitting the cart, and if one of your flankers gets caught out, it's just over, right? So Hydron's here in the back line. Big blade from Checkmate. Checkmate almost got a lot of value out of that. But Hawk does manage to find the kill. At least wow. Trade, but Ultraviolet falling does mean Rein have to play a little bit more passive. They can go with the beat and the blade, but they still have to be worried about someone's primal rage. They could just disrupt Nero's day. They end up using the beat for the engagement as Ultraviolet is still in spawn coming back. Nero pops the blade. He finds one. Hydron is dead. That primal rage is not the target. So Nero can basically worried that he might fall down. The primal kept him from being able to engage too much off of that. Alright, so again, someone is in this backline. He's dealing with Kai. I think he knows, like, okay, Kai's probably about to have tac visor. But at this point, look at where Hawk is. Hawk is right here, harassing the Ana, who can't get out of here. He's already killed Animo. And he's about to kill the Ana. Fall. The Florida Mayhem still in control of the payload, but a giant bio-grenade from Ultraviolet, the rookie for the Atlanta Reign, to take them out. The Reign secure the payload and the map and tie the series 1 apiece.
Something that the Atlanta Reign did so well was not only just be able to.
All right, guys, I'm gonna hit you with the. Be right back. Because I need to get some water.
Also, Hawk played a bit more of a bait card there. You saw how effective those sleeps could be on Hawk's Doomfist, but this time around, the Atlanta Reign didn't let that be the difference maker. They let that be.
Let's see if we can't finish this game out tonight.
Man, it looks so good. Nero, well, of course he got to play the game. I don't need to tell you about that. First 5K in the season.
All right, where to now?
So
oh. Good old Gibraltar. Okay.
We're gonna get a chance to see Gator
this map will be quick.
In either some upcoming maps or, of course, in the future. But Gibraltar feels like the perfect.
This is going to be a classic Gibraltar.
To play this divey composition that we're seeing from the Atlanta Reign. The Doomfist, the Genji, maybe not the most classic pieces of a dive comp, but definitely working together really well now that Doomfist is in that tank role.
Yeah, just that slow can be so impactful from the seismic slam. It's definitely caught me off guard a couple of times when I've been, I don't know, a tracer or someone just trying to run away, and then the seismic slam just hits the ground near me and I'm just like flat on the floor, or I end up getting slowed and then Hydron just peeking out, I can imagine, just for a quick pick.
All right, so Hydron.
Maybe staying on the Widowmaker. Okay, love this. Maybe Kai switches
on the Widow.
That would be a nice duel.
Gonna have to get a lot of
rookie versus Kai, a veteran.
A lot of value. And look at who someone's on.
See the Widowmaker and also
the Hog. They spent a lot of time on broadcast talking about this too. Like, obviously this is not rework talk since that just came out today, but it's like button to hit. You could speed boost the Hog in, but what's he gonna do? But it's just so easy to get on top of the Hog.
Looks like Checkmate's also gonna have to do some escaping.
could have retaken this and it wasted even more time. Not that it's going to matter. I've seen this match already, but very strange composition here. Like, I don't know what Hog is doing for you. He's there. Like, you're not going to be able to kill him.
See what I mean? Doomfist is still as vulnerable as he was.
But again, it's like, you killed Hog. That should be a go button. There's no tank. You should be able to punish this backline. But what's someone doing? He's running back into server and...
Nice.
Hasn't really done much of anything. So...
Yes, please.
Not a lot to say about this map. They finally switch to Winston, but it's too little too late. Like,
Yeah,